So welcome to today's episode of Beta Bully, where today I'll be showcasing off 5 removed features from the game, some of which can still be accessed via glitching and modding. So let's begin the video with our first cut feature, which is bullying girls. Now bullying girls is a disabled feature in Bully that only exists via glitch. Now to do this glitch, you need to find a group of people talking, and there has to be at least one boy and one girl. Now if we go behind the boy and target him to give him a wedgie, do so, but while giving the boy a wedgie, quickly lock onto the girl. If done correctly, after the wedgie you'll get a full red trouble meter, with the reason being bullying girls. Now this implies at one point in the beta, Jimmy could bully girls just like he could do with adults, boys and little kids, but this was ultimately scrapped for unknown reasons. And instead the wedgie option was replaced with Jimmy sexually harassing girls, and girls are unable to be humiliated or even grappled. In fact, there are actually unused quotes for girls being shoved into lockers.
Tough now. Locker time for you. You think you're so cool, don't you?
And there are also unused quotes from the girls after being given a swirly. Now these quotes vary and imply that the feature was cut very late into development. This could also mean that there might be unused or deleted animations for Jimmy bullying girls, considering that there are multiple animations for regular boys, little kids, fat kids and adults. Feature number 2, health regeneration. In the game's files, inside pedstats.dat, there's a string for health regeneration which can be very easily enabled. But basically, with this file, everybody has a health regeneration stat set to 0. Changing 0 to any other number will enable it for that character with their style. For example, changing the 0 on stat n Ernest to 10 would enable health regeneration to Ernest and anybody with his style. Now when enabled in the game, it's kind of hard to actually see it in action, especially on characters with larger health bars. But if we use the Supermon to look at characters' health, we can see Darby Harrington has 1000 health points, but if I shoot him a few times with a spud gun, we can see his health is very slowly coming back. It is most likely scrapped for this reason, and because some characters, like nerds and non-clicks, would have very long fights considering that they take a long time to attack during battles. Feature number 3, time. Originally, the game didn't have a time restriction of 8 AM until 2 AM, instead the game appeared to follow the route of Grand Theft Auto and have it be an unlimited day and night, and didn't require Jimmy going to bed. Now this still exists in the game's files, in both the time cycle files and a few text strings, which mention meeting in the parking lot, behind the alley and the junkyard anytime between 7 PM and 7 AM. In the final game, it is impossible for Jimmy to be awake at 7 AM, as he will always wake up at 8 AM sharp, not a minute before, not a minute later. However, there is a glitch, at least on the PlayStation versions of the game, where you can skip past 2 AM, but it only works on the mission Glass House, and you cannot move. On the last objective, which is to escape Hattrick's yard, hit Mr. Hattrick or any one of the officers and run for a very short time. Let them grab you, and if done right, this will be the outcome.
Bet you won't do that again, will you?
I'm good. What can I say?
What now? What now?
Jimmy will just be on the floor and won't be able to move. But you will be able to stay past 2 AM and witness the unused time cycle from night to day. I'll speed up the footage. It's interesting to see that the game changes the clock at 6 AM and the curfew ends at 7 AM, something we never actually see in the normal game. It's also very interesting to see all our missions become available at 8 AM, which is usually the time Jimmy wakes up. Going off the text I mentioned earlier about the meetings from 7 PM to 7 AM, it's likely that these would have been side errands to keep the player busy, as most of the missions would stop becoming available late at night. More time-related features include the beta boys dorm being locked after a certain time, forcing Jimmy to either use the removed side entrance or use the dumpster behind the dorm to gain entry. Both of which still exist, but the back entrance isn't enterable and the side entrance is blocked off without the use of mods. And what is probably the most interesting time change is the school timetable. According to a very early IGN article, at 4 PM the school gates would open, giving the player a chance to explore Walworth Town and Old Walworth Vale before they return to the dorm to sleep. Now while it was changed to being locked until chapter 2, there are a few leftovers of this, one being Billy Crane's Carnival. If you escape the academy in chapter 1, through glitches or mods, you'll find that it's completely locked off. Originally, this was actually going to be unlocked after defeating Russell, which it still is in the final game, sort of, except we don't actually get an in-game notification about it. Secondly is the lack of any enterable stores, like you can't go into any of them except Dragon's Wings Comics and the Preps Boxing Gym. It's likely that this was scrapped due to the lack of anything to actually do until the stores and errands actually get unlocked and all the missions taking place on school grounds, and possibly to let the player become familiar with all the controls before they get assaulted by townies at Bullworth Town. Feature number 4, Clothing. Now the first feature we're going to cover is multiple custom outfits. Now this feature is exactly what it says it is, so I won't spend too long covering it, but in the game's files, there are files referencing the ability to have multiple custom outfits, up to 4 of them. Now sadly, the only leftovers for this are text strings which simply say Custom Outfit 1, Custom Outfit 2, Custom Outfit 3 and Custom Outfit 4. Now this is actually a damn shame that the Custom Outfit ability was only reduced down to 1, and weirdly the multiple custom outfit feature made its first appearance in GTA Online instead. Other clothing features include a warmth system according to cloths.dat. Yes, that's right, it's cloths.dat, not clothes. Which says the clothes and body were going to have a warmth system, with 0 being bare, which is for Jimmy's head and wrists, 2 being cold, which means Jimmy is wearing a tank top, 4 being warm, meaning Jimmy is wearing a short sleeve shirt, and hot, which means Jimmy is wearing a long sleeve shirt. Now this feature is sort of used in Chapter 3, although it's completely different, and it isn't sticking to the warmth system this file is. Or this file states, should I say. And it goes completely unused in the rest of the chapters. This is most likely due to the fact that Buddy uses seasons, like wearing a long sleeve shirt in autumn wouldn't be the same as wearing one in the middle of summer. It also raises the question, like, what purpose would the warmth system actually have? Like, would wearing winter clothes in endless summer make Jimmy sweat? Would it make it harder to control Jimmy in warmer clothes? Or would it make Jimmy freeze to death in winter? Ultimately, this sounds like a completely useless feature and I'm glad it was scrapped. Feature number 5, the music shop. Now some of you may be familiar with the removed fireworks store, but did you know there is actually a removed music store? It was ran by a deleted character by the name of Floyd, and it was a store where the player would purchase in-game music to listen to. However, it's unknown if this was going to be an MP3 Jimmy could listen to when out and about, sort of like through headphones or whatever, or if it was songs that Jimmy could play in his dorm room. So this is a bit of a post edit, but I just thought of something. What if these records Jimmy could buy could actually be played on the radios that are in Jimmy's safe houses? You know, like the Greaser safe house, the Townley safe house and all that. You know, what if, say, like, when you buy a record, Jimmy could play it there, rather than be stuck listening to the same theme over and over again? Just a thought. However, this feature was cut very early into development and not much of it remains other than 2 files. Now the first file is the deleted character Floyd, who can still be modded into the PC version via hex editing. Now secondly are just 2 text strings in the game's files, which simply state action, get music tracks, and thanks to another string we know of one song or album that will be purchasable, and that is Frankie Bushwick's Rockin' Polka Party, and the description is banned in 30 states, prone to warning, contains polka music. Now doing a search for Frankie Bushwitz wields no results for any musician, and Google actually suggests Frank Bushwitz instead. Now I'm probably butchering this, and I apologise for my inability to pronounce names correctly. Anyway, doing these searches is still ineffective, so it seems this Frankie character was actually going to be an in-game figure with an original album, instead of going the GTA route and using real artists and their official copyright songs, like Phil Collins in GTA Vice City Stories for example. Or maybe Frankie was actually going to be an in-game celebrity in the world of Bully, much like Lovefist and Mad Dog are in the GTA universe. Also, going back to my Google search, the fact Frankie doesn't appear on Google or even any Bully forums might imply that I'm the first person to actually find this cut album and possibly deleted character. And I know someone's going to wonder, but doing a search for Rockin' Polka Party only gave me results for Weird Al Yankovic's Polka Party song. However, I have to wonder if Sean Lee would have composed this music too, or if Rockstar would have got someone else in to record these purchasable music tracks. And now it's time for a bonus, which is out of place GTA leftovers. Now this has got nothing to do with features at all, but I just want to cover these anyway. Now since Buddy was built off of Grand Theft Auto, there's a few leftovers here and there. However, there's a few very out of place text strings, which I believe are from GTA Vice City. Now these text strings are stop in the pink marker, there are 8 different types of weapons, you can carry one of each type of weapon at a time, one of a pistol and one of a shotgun. Press the manual lock button to set the camera behind you. Now I highly doubt Buddy was going to have a school shooting mission, or even the ability for Jimmy to use pistols and shotguns. And please don't let Jack Thompson see this, because he might use it as bait for Bully being a Columbine simulator, like he tried to do back in 2005. So that was today's video. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you found it informative, and thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Ugh, butchered that. Thank you for watching, have a nice day.